Welcome to the Empowerment Show with Melissa Heisler. Every week, discover new personal choices with practical, inspiring guides. And now, here's Melissa.
Today we are going to do something unique on the Empowerment Show as I turn the show over to Jennifer Welker. Thank you for being here, Jennifer.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be a part of your Empowerment Show because you've empowered so many people, and I think it's time for us to take it back and kind of interview you today. What do you guys think? To hear a little bit more about Melissa. For those who don't know her, Melissa Heisler is not only the host of the Empowerment Show, but an empowerment coach and contributing author for the books Be There Now, Defining Moments, and to be released later this year, which we're very excited about, is Experiences of Light. So welcome to the Empowerment Show. Melissa is the most amazing woman I have met since I've been here. And today is a very special day because you have empowered so many people and helped people find themselves. So some of the things that I would like to talk to you about is I want to know really what empowers Melissa and how did you come to find yourself doing what you're doing today? And what gave you that strength and that courage to start this journey, which a lot of people have a hard time just saying, I'm going to do this and I'm going to go, you know?
Exactly. And there was many years in my life where I was always interested in becoming better physically, mentally, spiritually. I was on a path to explore that. But unfortunately, like so many people, it took me hitting bottom to be able to find what it was to make me move forward. And what had happened was I was physically ill. I had severe symptoms, I had pain, I had just a host of digestive and other problems that were going on. And I went to doctor after doctor to try to find what was wrong. I thought I had a terminal illness. It was that bad for me. And doctor after doctor said, you're perfectly healthy. And so it finally got to a point where one doctor said, well, maybe we'll give you a hysterectomy and maybe that will help. And I said, maybe doesn't qualify to take body parts out. So I started to look into some alternative means for health and, you know, acupuncture and hypnotherapy and I went a lot of crazy things that I did. And I did find a little bit of relief here and there, but nothing got rid of the problem. And there was one day I was receiving a massage and my massage therapist was telling me about these trips she took to Peru. Mm-hmm. And they were great to listen to. It was kind of her thing. It wasn't really something of interest to me, but it was interesting hearing about her adventures. But this one day she told me about this shaman who cured a man of cancer. And I said, if this guy can cure cancer, he's got to be able to do something for me. So somehow I ended up in Peru and spent 10 days with a shaman, and I felt incredible. I felt 10 years younger, the pain was gone. It was an incredible healing. But that's not my story of empowerment.
And it's a beginning.
It is a beginning. It showed me that I could be healthy. It showed me that I had pure health in me. What happened was, when I landed back in Miami after my trip, my pain started to come back. And I said, you know, it might have taken 10 days and 2 shaman to be able to cure me, but I was more powerful than that. I could bring it all back in seconds. And so that's really what led me to say, you know what, I'm doing this to myself, or somehow I'm affecting it, or I have the power to change it.
Right.
And it led me to my exploration to how can I have that health back, mentally, physically, spiritually.
So then how many years do you think it took you to really get to a place where you felt like, okay, I can do this, I've made a change in my mind how I want to live my life? Do you find now that years have gone by and you're continually going through a process? Because really it's, you know, life is a process, but it seems like, how many years do you think it took you to kind of get to the next stage?
Well, I like to be cautious about saying stages,
Okay.
because I think that our society is all about, well, take this pill and you'll feel better.
Yes.
Or go do Zumba and you're going to get this. And we're looking for that, like, or we go from second grade to third grade. You know, it's all about the stages, and life isn't like that. When I came back 7 years ago, I made the commitment to making a change. Now, I would say that I had fast and slow progression over that time, depending on what was going on. I was in a really good state, and then like my father would get ill and it would send me backwards. So it's not a linear progression of health. It's really knowing, it's looking at life differently and saying, you know, I think one of the strongest things that has helped me is that we're here to experience the good, the bad, the ugly. And so instead of saying, oh, I'm having a setback today because I got mad at my boss,
right,
it's saying, you know what, here's a challenge, here's an opportunity for me to go deeper. And so I don't think it's that straight progression that we go to. I still have good days and bad days. Here we're in Chicago, we had what felt like 5 years of winter. It certainly was a struggle for many of us.
That's a challenge.
But it was something, it's not a setback, it's not reversing. And we were talking about this a little bit off camera, is that I think our society has spent too long going to psychiatrists or going to doctors and what's wrong with us and what's broken so we can fix it. Where instead, and there's nothing wrong with going to those things, I've been to both.
Right, it could be a part of the process for you to your healing.
Exactly, it's part of the process. And it's not that we're broken, it's that we have to rediscover our health.
I like that, rediscover our health.
Yes, because it's always there with us. I think that we don't know that we're blocking it, that we are consciously, unconsciously keeping us from good health. You know, if we sit on the couch and eat bonbons, sooner or later our leg muscles aren't going to move and we're going to maybe put on a couple extra pounds, right?
We're going to look like bonbons.
We're going to look like bonbons, absolutely. So it does take some constant effort to have that health, but it's a choice. We can choose to sit on the couch or we can choose to get up and move, but it's our choice. And that's really what empowerment's about, is that we're empowered to choose. And it's not a good choice or a bad choice. It's just, does it feel good to us or does it feel bad to us, and do we want to make a shift?
It kind of sounds like reprogramming how you see yourself and your brain and the world around you, and changing how you take things in or experience things. And if you're not happy, notice where it's at in your body, right? And become aware of how to pay attention so that you can honor yourself and start working towards what you wanted. So in that, all of that, when you were in that exploration, when you were looking at finding better health for yourself, and when you started going on that road or that process, you started to discover that you love entertainment per se, and you are a radio host, you write books, you are your purpose, what you found, you started to find your mission in that, didn't you?
You know what, the mission found me.
Did it?
And that's, it's a different process, and this has been a little bit of a struggle for me, because I am a recovering type A. You know, I was the one, set the goals, this is what I'm going to accomplish, you know, and go through that regimented life. And really now it's, what am I drawn to, or what's being drawn to me? This radio show came to me. It wasn't something that I was going to do, that I wanted to do.
Really?
It was an opportunity that was brought to me. I was helping somebody else out. It led to me having my own show. It led me to taking over my own show. And now I have people booked 10 months in advance to be on the show. So it's something that is occurring on its own. And both the book and the show, it's not entertainment per se, it's sharing. I think we all have, what I'd love to do is have people on the show who have survived something, or who have, and most of them, you survive it and then you want to teach others. And so that's really what this is all about, is the more we can know that we're not alone, the more that we can know that there's opportunities to make a difference in our life in ways that maybe we don't know right now, that we can all shift, we can all change, we can all find that happiness. It is available to us, and this is one of the means that I hope to awaken people, to make them aware that they do have different choices.
That's a beautiful mission. And I think that's quite amazing what you said right now, is that when you started to really wake up to your own healing and your health, and that your life was not exactly going the way you wanted it, and you were starting to notice that in your physical health and your type A, as you say,
right.
And you stepped back for a moment and you started to really take care of you,
right.
That you found that you were awakened or aware now to really what your purpose here on this planet was, and that is to empower people.
Absolutely, and it's still a journey. It's just like we were talking about getting to health. It's not like I know exactly what I want to do and where the show is going, and that's not there at all. But it's every day there's a little bit more. This is what I want to do with the show now, or this is who I need to have on, and the breadcrumbs are put out there for me.
Okay.
And I know as long as it's still feeling in alignment with me, I'm on the right path. So I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know if it's going to be one more episode or 200. I don't know. But I know as long as I can continue to have quality people on the show who can help others, and I get feedback that people are finding value, it's in alignment with what I want to do.
So you've interviewed. For how long have you been interviewing people? For how many?
We're coming up on the first year.
On the first year?
Yes.
It's quite amazing, actually, when looking back at everybody that you've interviewed. You've interviewed writers, producers, some directors of different companies, those who own nonprofits and healers, change agents, survivors, and supporters, activists, and people that are really passionate about their purpose.
Right.
I mean, what a gift that is, to be able to show up, not knowing what's next, but to continue to interact with human beings that are passionate about their life and their purpose, and in that being able to be a voice to the world.
And being able to get the voices out there. I think there's, there are some wonderful voices out there, Neil Donald Walsh and Martha Beck, but there's so much attention going on those single voices, on those celebrity voices, and I'm not saying that they don't have a powerful message, but what I find is that we all have a powerful message, and I really want to give a voice to some of the people who aren't necessarily in the headlines, who are doing, sometimes they're just doing their thing in a small way, and even if it just shifts their life and the life of their family, it's still a powerful story to tell. And I think there's still insight to be received through that. So I want to make sure that we're using the Empowerment Show to share all stories of empowerment, not just to have, the new it person on.
I like that. That's actually a very honorable thing to do, because a lot of the people in the world want to share their story but don't get a chance to, or don't know how to, because going into what you want to say, Hollywood or that world, it's very far and few that people are able to tap in, so to say. So you have found a way to help empower those who want to share their message, and they don't have a per se medium to give that out. Right. And you opened up something to help create that. And so with that, do you find that you're truly trying to help others, and in this you are able to help others explore their inner reality through this then? I mean, this is
I hope so. I hope this is, I try to have a range of people on, so it can be a lot of different information depending on where the person's coming from. So really the show is my desire to be able to show people the rainbow of opportunities out there that, you know, and there's a lot of overlap. It's really interesting. We have abuse survivors on, and we have a neuropsychologist, and the topics that come up are similar. So we are all seeing things from different lights, but I think the message a lot is very similar, and it's part of what I cover in my book that I'm coming out with this year, which is From Type A to Type Me, Daily Habits for an Empowered Life. And what I found in working with my clients and my own work to get myself as healthy as I can be on a daily basis is that the Type Me habits, and you hinted at some of them early, is awareness, acceptance, alternatives, and action. And so a lot with my show, with my book, and with the online program is trying to help people to become aware of what they're doing and how it's affecting them. Without awareness, there's no changes we can make. It's acceptance of themselves, acceptance of others. It's not forgiveness, it's not saying it's okay, but we need to accept so we can move through and move on. And then there's alternatives. That's where we make those choices. You can choose to sit on the couch with the bonbons, or you can choose to do something different. A lot of times we don't feel we can. So when we're working on alternatives, it's really to show that we have ultimate power, that we have that choice. And then action is about daily life. It's about being immersed in the experience, not in the tasks, the to-dos, the tasks of daily life. It's about experience and truly loving that experience, which I think we miss out so much in our Western society when we're always on the go. You know, how often do we miss those little moments of life that are really the important ones when we come down to it?
You know, you brought up some really great points, especially when it comes to paying attention each moment, because if we are always on the go and not slowing down enough to listen, then we can't really hear what's going on inside of ourselves to make the right choices in our everyday life. But I have a question about, what do you do when you hit those roadblocks or some of these places that you feel like, oh, I don't know what to do next, and I don't know where to go next, and what am I doing now? You know, like, how do you sit in all of that, knowing that now you've made this decision in your life and you've come to a point where you know, you've really empowered a lot of people, but even us as those who empower, you kind of like, okay, what do you do? How do you handle that stillness?
I think there's 2 points in there. One is that daily habits are so important. If I'm not doing this on a daily basis, doing my habits, I do some meditation, I do some journaling, it's my grounding mechanisms. If those aren't in place, I'm in no space to be able to handle the changes of life. One of the things that I really respect about the Islamic culture is they go through Ramadan. And I think it's a month long, where sun up to sundown they don't eat, they don't drink. And so it's what's amazing about it is that it changes throughout, it's a different time each year. So if you think about being in the summer and not being able to drink all day, is a bigger challenge than maybe in the winter. But in the winter, when you're freezing and you want to eat something during the day and you're not able to. So I see that like life, is that every day the challenge may be a little bit different. So it's necessary to have those grounding tools to help keep us stabilized no matter what's coming. As far as how do you make it through that area where maybe you don't know what's happening next, or maybe something's happened to a loved one or to yourself, breathing is good. It's important to, and I don't mean to say this insensitively, but to remember that this isn't real. Our body isn't real. The physical world we see isn't real. And that when it comes down to it, it's the intimate connections that we have with people, with ourselves, with spirit, which is the true importance. And I know that's kind of out there. I don't usually go through that with a lot of my clients.
Right.
And there's different layers we can get to it. But basically, you can just say, if this was the last 5 minutes of my life, is this what I want to be experiencing? And that's a great way to say, no, this isn't what I want to be going through, and what can I do to shift it a little bit for myself? We can look at really just seeing what's important in our life. And a lot of times the things we're anxious about, okay, maybe I don't know what I'm going to do for the rest of the afternoon. Do I need to go through a stressful trauma because of that? Or can I sit for 5 minutes and see what comes to me? Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times we have forgotten how to just be. Mm-hmm. And I think our technology has made it even worse. We need that instant gratification, you know. We
expect right away.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And there's a power and a natural cycle of life. You know, we're moving into spring, hopefully, and the buds won't be there tomorrow. It's not like, boom, the tulips will be up. You know, it takes a while for them to go through the process. And we have to remember we're doing the same thing. So when we're sitting in that discomfort, we are doing something. You know, a baby sleeps for, 8 or 12 hours a day?
Because it's great.
But it's growing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not sleeping, it's not turning off, it's growing during those downtimes. And I think we have to learn to respect those downtimes and allow them to be.
Yes, yes. So it sounds like what you're saying here is that you need to have discipline. You need to find things that work for you, that help you to stay balanced.
Yes.
So it could be a multitude of things. And then in that, when you're creating and when you're figuring out what's next, you have to connect with people, talking, communicating, spending that time perhaps in meditation or exercising, running. Yes. Some people can't meditate because they're just, they do it a different way.
Exactly. I always say that my husband's Zen meditation is washing the boat. That's where he finds it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important point that you brought up, is that it is different for everyone. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's one way. My habits work great for me.
Right.
They might not work for you. I think there's a couple building blocks you need to have.
Right.
But what each of those building blocks looks like for you can be very different.
Every body is different.
Absolutely.
And everybody's past experiences are different, and what they carry with them. And you were talking earlier about, before we were here, was childhood experiences and images and things that you've had. And we do have perhaps patterns that we go back into survival modes on particular things when things arise. And that was something to protect ourselves.
Absolutely.
But now, knowing, being consciously aware, you could say to your prefrontal cortex, hey, I need a little bit of control here. Can you calm down, your reptilian brain? And,
exactly.
And that's where meditation helps, or some of these other things.
Well, and I think it comes to awareness. I mean, the meditation, I think, helps get us to a state of awareness. And that's why there's other ways to get to that awareness as well. And it's just like you said, there's a lot of knee-jerk reactions. There are things that we learned in childhood to protect ourselves, which is perfectly natural. There's nothing wrong with that at all. As an adult, we need to be aware of these and say, are they still serving me? Or are they holding me back? And that's where we do need to reprogram our brain. Because if we're not aware, we keep going back to the same and back to the same and back to the same. If we have daily habits where we're teaching our brain to be a new way, we can start new grooves. We can start reprogramming. Our brains are plastic. They're able to change and adapt. And that's one of the messages I love to get to people, because I think they're so stuck in, well, my DNA, my family's always done it this way, I've always done it this way.
Predisposition.
Exactly, that they think they're stuck in it. And it's not true. It may take a while, it may take active choices and active changes in one's life, but it is possible to change what we're experiencing. We don't have to be stuck where we're stuck.
And that's interesting. Another point I think would be good to share with your listeners is, what do you think about the whole money system and that drive that we have to sustain our lives so that we can protect and do all the things that we would like to do? It seems to be a really big thing, even more about money and how to take care of your family. And you know, being that you've made some major shifts in your life and you're sitting back and listening, well, how do you deal with the struggle between, I need to make money, I need to do this, I need to protect and secure and you know, take care of the family structure as a powerful, empowered woman in a relationship with a wonderful man? How do you find yourself going, okay, well, what? How do you balance that?
It's a struggle. Again, recovering type A. So I was that perfectionist. I was that professional. You know, I rose up the ranks. I wanted to have that title. I, you know, made some nice money back in the day, and there's still there's that relearning.
Okay.
Just like the rest of my life, is that it's relearning what's important. And I think a lot of it is, part of it is fear. That we're so fear-based of, we need to have a certain amount of money and then we're safe. And that's a fallacy. Number one, you know, I think a lot of people right now, you know, the old golden handcuffs and, you know, once you have 50 years at a company, you'll be able to retire, that's no longer our society. And I think that shook a lot of people up. But then also I heard a story one time of a woman who was like, well, as soon as I have $1 million, then I'm going to be safe and then I'm going to be secure. And as soon as she had $1 million, well, as soon as I have 2, that's really the number that I need. And it really wasn't the dollar amount, it was her perception of safety and security. And I work a lot with my clients on, it's not the stuff that we want, it's not the dollar value, it's not the red race car, it's the experience that we want. And can we have that experience, can we have that feeling without the thing? And so that's one of the things that I try to concentrate on, is to look around. And gratitude is a beautiful thing. Look around for what you actually have. I think we spend so much time looking at what we don't have, looking at what we want, what we think we need to have to make ourselves complete. And it's not true. You know, you have everything you need right now. Is there anything that you need in this moment that you don't have? In this single moment? No.
Water.
Okay, water, which we have available, is here for you.
But
other than that, there's really nothing that we need.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times when we get stuck in that depression, and as I was going through that shift of, I've got to make money, I've got to take care of my husband, you know, contribute to the family type thoughts, is if I really stopped and looked, we were okay. And it was just my story. It was much more about the ego. It was much more about fear than it was about actual need. So when we can break down and actually look at what we need and what we have, a lot of times those fears can go away, and then we can approach things differently. I'm also hoping that we're moving into a new world, or a new look at money. Is a great thing to be able to exchange. Right. It's a means of exchange, and somehow we have made it a god, and or like water. You know, it has developed into something completely different, and so there's a lot of movement right now, and I hope that it continues and blossoms quickly. Are businesses that are not about stockholder value, that are not about making the CEO rich, but are about reinvesting in the community.
Oh, wow. Yes.
And so I'm hoping that that's where things will go, and that's going to shift it. It's no longer about status and having the car and having the title. It's about are you enjoying your day? You know, are you taken care of? Because we need to be taken care of. And what are you doing to contribute to the good of others? It shouldn't be at the sacrifice of yourself, but it should be in addition to what you're giving yourself. So I'm hoping that that is a shift that we're moving into, and I'm hoping to empower those people who are looking to start new businesses to say, yes, you're on the right path.
So they can be self-sustaining and be able to take care of themselves and their family at the means that is healthy.
Absolutely.
Not unhealthy, which we see half the society in this, as back in the day they called it the rat race.
Right.
And we're a very individualistic culture. And there's cultures out there that are community orientated, cultivating that community. And in the Americas, you know, there's a mix of all kinds of different cultures, and it's beautiful. But now we're in this change, and it's been going on for quite some time, and you've listened.
Yes.
You really have. You have listened to that. And that's empowering. The fact that you've listened and that you've taken that first step to help guide others on how to take those steps. So you've gotten the experience, you know what it feels like, you know what it looks like, you know how tough it can become and how it can be in that process. It can be a little bit messy, but you have the tools that you have learned not only through experience that you can pass on to others. And this will be a great gift because you'll be able to empower hundreds of people in a beautiful way. And however it become, be it big or small, it's a domino effect.
It's absolutely a domino effect, and we can all do it. I mean, what I think is one of the things that really makes me happy is when I'm working with a client and I can see changes in them, and it's beautiful. But when they come to the next session and say, you know, my daughter did blah, 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 and it was because the mother shifted, so the daughter shifted, and you can start to see that ripple effect, and it's just amazing, and we can all do it. Just simple things, you know, I'm sure the pass it on, you know, you open the door for somebody and somebody else opens it. It can be something that small, but it can make a huge difference in someone else's life. And we're all empowered to do that if we're aware and we choose to make a small difference. It can make a bigger difference in the future.
Your book is coming up at the end of the year. Do you want to share a little bit more about that? Because I think it's a really important part of the journey that you've been on, and I think other people might be experiencing the same thing. So.
Absolutely, the book has been a journey in itself. It's 7 years in the making, I think, and I think I've had about 5 different titles and 20 different versions. So it is exciting that it is finally ready to come out into the world. So it's From Type A to Type Me, Daily Habits for an Empowered Life.
What a great title.
And one of the things that, as I was going through this process, and I'm at the publishing side of things now, that I realized was only 20% of people who buy books actually read them. And I'm sure a smaller percentage than that actually do the work. And the reason I did this book is for people who can't work with me, who want to make changes, maybe don't have the time, money, whatever it is. I wanted this to be a go-to book for them to learn these daily habits and learn what I teach. And I will send out the book, and hopefully people will find it. But the other thing that I've done is I do have an online program which goes through all the teachings of the book of awareness, acceptance, alternatives, and action. So it's in a nice slow pace where they can start adapting and making changes to their lives, and to be able to make it a personal journey for themselves on their own time and in their own way. So at betypeme.com, they can actually start going through the process right now and start making that day-by-day change in their life. It's a very easy program to go through. You know, it's a way to ease into that change. I think a lot of times now there's workshop, you know, it's the weekend retreat, and you're going to get inundated with this stuff, and a lot of times there can be that aha moment, or you know, you can have a wonderful experience at these retreats, but then on Monday you go back to your life. And then you fall back into those knee-jerk reactions and into your old ways. And the way that I did the program was to help you through the week. Not just to have an amazing experience, but for you to make the real day-to-day changes in your life and to start making those new grooves in your mind to change your life. So I'm really excited about it. I think there's some great content there for people.
I think what you just shared right now is really important, because a lot of the time people need somebody every day to be there to assist and mentor and guide, and and not having that, and it sounds like you would be that partner.
Absolutely.
And something that they could show up to every day to be able to help them when they kind of fall and like, okay, what do I do next, and how do I deal with this, or it sounds like a great thing.
Absolutely, and it's a guide for them. I think the other part of the program is they don't need me. They have the power and the answers, so it's helping them to see that and uncover that, and to be their own coach, to be able to take responsibility for what they're experiencing and make the choices that make them happier.
Empowering others to empower themselves.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes.
That's very much needed. So tell me a little bit about where people can learn about you.
Well, they can find me at BeTypeMe, so that's BeTypeMe.com. On that site, you can see the Empowerment Show. You can see some information about me, and I'm also on Facebook and Twitter, and love to hook up with people.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you for joining me on your empowerment show, Melissa. I hope that all your answers your questions were answered, and that you find that Melissa would be a great service to you, empowering you in your life. And I think she has definitely empowered me today. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and thank you so much for doing this and preparing so much. I truly appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's been a blessing having you on the show. And if people want to continue talking to Jennifer and I, they can go to facebook.com/The Empowerment Show or twitter.com/Empowerment Show and give us your thoughts.
Join Melissa Heisler next week right here at The Empowerment Show. Join the conversation at facebook.com/The Empowerment Show or twitter.com/Empowerment Show.